We have some other stuff, but we'll just go through it. It's not going to be that hard. And we are live with another episode of BS Busters. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, with that being said, before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the lady. I'm pretty sure one day I'll probably start with someone else, but for now, we'll start with the lady first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, to this Midweek Podcast. I am Joy Eli Moonstar, and of all things we have to talk about, had to be something from another problem. Oh, brother. But then again, we had to talk about the $60 thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a big story. Next, have Kenoshi introduce himself.
This is Kenoshi Abominito. Here to say the games are getting too expensive again.
I second that. I third that sentiment, but I would argue that games have been too fucking expensive for years now.
Yeah.
With all the I'll be honest with you. I would rather, instead of games nickeling diming you with all these different versions and shit like that, if you want to raise the price of games, go ahead. But you shouldn't be charging people for extra content after the game comes out. If you want to charge people $90 for a game, okay, but don't charge me for expansions and new content. And here's the thing, if indie studios can do that, if indie studios can add entirely new bits of content for free just because you bought the game in the first place, can do it, there's nothing stopping from big studios from doing it too. It's just they're greedy. They're greedy bastards. In other words, they fucked up. So with that being said, let's get to some of these stories. Some of these stories. So the first one is the big one of the week, which is, I mean, some people would be sad. I'm actually quite happy about it. Yoshinori Ono, Street Fighter executive producer, is leaving Capcom after 30 years. Woohoo!
If anything, it makes me wonder how he kept going for so long.
Well, I know how he kept going. He basically ran the franchise into the goddamn ground. That's how he kept going. Basically, to me, the pinnacle of Street Fighter is Street Fighter 3. It was the most technical and difficult to get into. So if you basically played through Street Fighter 2 to the alphas, to Third Strike, to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and with the Lightnings, if you played those games, your technical ability in Street Fighter is to a level that Joe Blow average gamer is not gonna, 2D fighter is not gonna really be at that level. And that was a problem because it was too technical. So basically they made Ono into the Street Fighter guy at Capcom, and he ran the fucking franchise into the goddamn ground. Ran it into the ground. And don't feel too sad for him, because he was they kind of pushed him out when Street Fighter V came out as the fantastic colossal turd that it was. They pushed him to the side, and I think the guy who's in charge of Capcom, who owns the vast majority of the company, put one of his sons in charge of Street Fighter right now. So basically, whenever that happens to you in a company, I was just waiting for him to leave, because there was just, when you get marginalized like that, your ass is, the writing's on the wall. It should be fairly obvious. With that being said, I mean, are you guys happy? Are you sad that Ono is gone? Do you not give a shit?
As in, it's sad to see somebody that likely founded it go away, but if anything, it probably is good that he is gone.
He didn't found Capcom. He didn't found Street Fighter. He was working there for 30 years. He wasn't the overall guy over Street Fighter, because the people who made the Street Fighters that made Street Fighter what it is, he wasn't in charge of it. He was like one of the people working on it, but he wasn't the overall person over it.
Really?
No. Kind of like Keiji Inafune, even though he became the Mega Man guy, isn't the guy who Like the Mega Mans that people love, like the ones that started the franchise off. Keiji Inafune is not he wasn't even in charge of the projects. He was an art design. He basically created boss characters for those games. Like the original Mega Man, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. Like basically, it's not until Mega Man 4 that Keiji Inafune started taking on a bigger role, and even then, he wasn't the overall guy over all of it. It's not until like Mega Man 7, 8 that Keiji Inafune started to take over. Yeah. I mean, Ono was a character. I saw those little videos he made where he's like, I'm the boss, and he's like dressed like M. Bison. That was the joke. I'm like, man, if you put that type of creativity into your fucking games, maybe Street Fighter would be good again. But yeah. I mean, if you liked how Street Fighter 4 felt like you were playing through, like your characters were fighting in molasses.
I was talking about, if anything, some people trying to get rid of somebody that made something what it is kind of a thing that I'm a little sad about. But if anything, I can understand why he had to go in some point.
He made it worse. Like he's not like Shigeru Miyamoto. Where it's like this guy made some really great shit. Even his fuck ups, like his great shit overshadows his fuck ups, right? Like because of Mario and Legend of Zelda and F-Zero and shit like that, we can forgive Wii Music. Like, I'll let that in Devil World. We'll let that slide. Right? But Ono was like, okay, I was one of the people working on small bits of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha and Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Street Fighter 3. He didn't get in charge of the project until the really great Capcom 2D fighting games. Ono had nothing to do with, is what I'm saying. He wasn't the guy in charge of it. He wasn't the impetus for those games to exist. Like he wasn't on the team for Street Fighter 2. He wasn't on the team for Final Fight. He wasn't on the team for X-Men versus Street Fighter. He wasn't on the team for the Marvel versus Capcom 1 and 2. Arguably, I mean, he was on the team for Marvel Infinite and Marvel versus Capcom 3 and Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 4. So the shitty and so Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the bad Capcom fighting games.
Well, if anything, it does show that he has been around, though his legacy is not always perfect.
So legacy is shit. He's got more bad games that he's made than good. I would argue the only good game that he was executive producer on that was good is maybe Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And to an extent, Street Fighter 4, even though I don't like how slow that game is. Kenoshi, your thoughts on Ono finally getting his walking papers and pulling a Bruce Banner?
Maybe it's maybe Street Fighter will be good again.
Nah. The only way.
That's a bit iffy, but we can at least hope that something changes.
The only way Street Fighter will ever be good is if they build a team of people who grew up with Street Fighter 2 and the arcades and Street Fighters Alpha and Street Fighter 3, who basically grew up playing those games, became programmers because of them, and then basically fostered a team of people who love those Street Fighters, but then temper it with someone who can make it casual enough that it can hit mainstream. And that's not going to happen because that takes money, time, energy, something that Capcom hasn't put into a game in years. Speaking of companies fucking up royally, and then pulling themselves from the brink of fucking up royally, Sega will now port more new and old games to PC after Persona 4 Golden sells more on PC than it did on consoles and handhelds.
Well, if anything, that's some good news for many Persona fans.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should have been doing this for years. Because the thing is like Sega has this, like, Sega doesn't want to, like, Sega, after they basically had to drop being a console manufacturer, essentially got very, very cautious. Like, very, very, very cautious. To the point where Sega, as it is right now, is nowhere near as balls to the wall taking risks as they used to be. Because they got their hand caught in a fire. So, I mean, when you get burnt like that, you don't want to repeat what you did to get burnt. So, like, they see that they created an audience someplace, they're just going to stay there. Which, business-wise, I can understand it, but if you don't take risks, you can never succeed. Because you have to take risks in order to succeed. But they took a risk.
Yeah.
They brought Persona 4 Golden to PC, and it, like I said, it sold more on PC than it ever did on the PlayStation 2 or the Vita or the PS3 port. So there you go, folks. PC is a viable platform, especially for games that never hit PC, that people want on PC. So, bring over that Shin Megami Tensei 3 remastered on PC, aka you can bring over Persona 3, the first 2 Persona games, if you want to. Even though I don't like the first 2 Persona games, I think they're kind of not very well made. Anything you guys want to add? Any Sega games that have been console exclusives that you wish were on console?
I'm not sure entirely, since if anything, there's some RPGs, but I'm kind of worried if we'll get them.
Skies of Arcadia Legends on PC.
Okay.
With
Change my mind there.
With the VMU.
Oh.
With the, not physical VMU, but like a virtual VMU, so you could play those little, so you could play those little
Dreamcast mini games that were on the memory drive.
Yeah, because the VMU is like, oh, this sounds really awesome, but then you really think about it, it's like, this is stupid.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Come on! And this is somebody that has a game, got most of the portable game systems.
Well, the reason I say the VMU was stupid is because, first of all, playing those little virtual games ran down your fucking battery. Which, if you had certain models of VMU, that meant that you also lost the data on your VMU. So it once again, didn't you hear me say earlier, Sega used to be balls to the wall, take risks, even when that, in the grand scheme of things, that was fucking stupid. Let's create a memory card that you can play games on. That sounds cool, but
if it was rechargeable, I could agree with you.
They weren't rechargeable. You had to put batteries in them. And some of the earlier models, which came with the original run of the Dreamcast, if the battery ran out, you lost your fucking data.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So yes,
they came back with modifications.
Well, they came out with better ones later, but by then it was too late. Listen, I understand if you like it, but from a objective, take a step back and looking at it in the grand scheme of things as a product, that's fucking stupid. I'm sorry, that's dumb.
I said that there's possibilities. Come on.
There's all types of possibilities, but if you do something stupid, I'm not going to be like, well, you tried. No, that was stupid.
The execution, I could agree with you on.
So,
possibility, I can say that there's possibility.
Let me put it this way: they're like Homer. They're like Bart Simpson in that Simpsons episode where he's gonna jump over that gorge with his skateboard.
No.
And then Homer
Fine,
does
do
it. He's
that.
like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Look. It may have been a grandiose idea, but you're a fucking idiot if you try to do that. Okay? And that's basically how I feel about, like, why couldn't they just make why couldn't they just make a fucking memory card like everybody else that just worked? And they were like, no, we got to do something different. It's like, look, you guys almost are fucking bankrupt trying to do something different. Stop doing stupid shit. Okay? I mean, because here's the thing. I personally think it would have been a great thing had the Dreamcast taken off, but they kept on doing stupid shit. Because Sega just did stupid shit. That's what they did. But anyway, so yeah, I think a Skies of Arcadia Legends would be a great game to put on PC. Bring that game over on PC. Bring over the entire Panzer Dragoon series.
Mm-hmm.
Bring over... I don't know what else. What other games do they have?
And no, we're not aiming at the Sonic ring.
I mean, but those games have already been brought over.
And we don't need Sonic 06 as well.
That game's already on PC. Unfortunately.
As I said, we don't need Sonic 06.
Unfortunately, we already got it. We don't want it, but we got it. It's like an STD. I don't want this, please. I don't want it. I don't want it. Bastards.
That was rich.
Well, I mean, basically, it is like a STD, though.
Thank you very much for the graphical image.
It is. Sonic 06 is terrible. Are there any Sega games you think should be on there, Kenoshi? Since, PC's profitable now for Sega, so any Sega like that were console exclusives, you're like, man, this shit needs to be brought over immediately.
Maybe Persona 5. They're not willing to, since they're willing to put their games on other PC now.
I agree with you. I would like to see Persona 5 on PC, but considering that Sony's dick is so far up Sega's ass that they, were acting like bitches. It took years for them to put Persona 4 on PC. So, I mean, I wouldn't fight it, but I mean, I don't know how.
That's a reach. That's a reach around wish, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it had happened, but I wouldn't be against it, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I guess we can keep it moving. Let's see, our next... Turok 5. There was a design document for Turok 5. I'm not going to show it, but apparently the story involves Turok being brought back from the dead to battle the Soulless, who have overrun the Lost Land with cybernetically enslaved dinosaurs. It had spirit elders granting new spirit powers to Turok along the way. And, I mean, it's a video game, so there you go. I'm not going to go further on, but...
There's potential, though. If anything, it sounds more video gamey than the normal stuff that we've usually heard.
So, I mean, I would love to see Turok rebooted. I think you could totally do it. And I even know a studio, or I even can think of a way to basically bring it back and make it cool. Anyone here heard of Far Cry Primal?
Far Cry Primal? Yeah.
Yeah, the controversy of that game was that they basically used a reversed map of the same map from Far Cry 3 in that game, or is it Far Cry 4? No, Far Cry 4. They used the same map just flipped. And people got mad at them about that. But the premise of the game was that you're basically a caveman, so you're fighting against like mammoths and bison and saber-toothed tigers and shit like that. What if you made an open world Turok game, right? Where the game starts out, you're like in modern times, and then you're chasing some racist ass motherfucker. Because I mean, that's the big thing, is that John Turok is a Native American. And then you wind up popping up, and you're in prehistoric past. And then basically, like the first act of the game is you're in the present, and then the second act you're in the prehistoric past, and then the third act you go back to the present, and you discovered that you changed time. So dinosaurs are in the present, but you've got dinosaurs that haven't been cybernetically enhanced, but then dinosaurs that are like have been cybernetically enhanced. So you could conceivably be riding a T-Rex with fucking rocket launchers on its shoulders and shit, shooting rockets at people. And when they get too close, you can make your T-Rex basically eat somebody. So the T-Rex would basically be like the game's version of Yoshi, except way more badass, because I don't think Yoshi's ever had rocket launchers on. Thoughts? Anyone would like to see a Turok reboot, or is it just too late for that franchise? They need to keep it buried.
For me, I feel like there's a chance, though it's kind of a tricky shot.
Kenoshi?
You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, because I mean they made a reboot in 2008, which sucked. And then they did that game that came out last year. That's like a little. It has practically nothing to do with Turok. It's like a little. It looks like a fucking mobile game. Kenoshi, you have any thoughts on Turok being rebooted?
I played it once when I was a kid, but it wasn't something it's not something I really stuck with. That really stuck with me, and it's not a game I hear a lot of people talk about. So.
Okay, I guess it's a product of its time. I just think the idea of having a Native American go around shooting time-traveling racists while fighting alongside or against dinosaurs is awesome. But, maybe that's just me. Okay, does anyone want to cover the Kensuke Tanabe plans to innovate despite harsh criticism thing, or can we skip it and move on?
I think we could drop it for now.
Okay, then. We'll move on to Square Enix and their sad and pathetic shilling for money.
I was about to say, Kingdom Hearts is already a show of money.
But this is worse.
It's so convoluted that it's hard to even add to it.
Well, this is worse in my opinion, because this is just bad. This is like really embarrassingly bad.
Okay, this I gotta hear.
Okay, so basically, here's what we already know about that Sony exclusive. Spider-Man is exclusive to Sony. Okay, now this game doesn't look good enough to where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go out. I'm not that wedded. Because here's the thing: even though it's it's a version of Spider-Man, it's not Miles Morales or the Spider-Man we know. It's a Spider-Man. It's the party store costume knockoff version of Spider-Man. So basically, they have a Verizon Virgin Media. If you're a Verizon Virgin Media customer and you want a gray gold chain wearing Hulk, you'll need to have an Intel. No. If you want your Avengers decked out in red, you'll have to be a Verizon Virgin Media customer. Okay, if you want your Incredible Hulk looking like he's a fucking pimp with a gold chain, and everybody looking like they do lines on the side. You'll need a Intel CPU.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I think I
Wait, so they're
believe a bit.
locking.
Did
Wait,
I
wait,
hear
wait,
that right?
wait. So they're locking content behind what kind
graphics
of graphics card
cards?
you have, or what kind of
CPU.
you have?
Yes. Yes.
That is retarded.
No,
Why the hell
no.
are they doing this?
It's you want to know why? Because
That's worse
because they.
That's the console exclusive.
Here's why. Here's why. Okay, because Square Enix spent way too fucking much money to get the rights to make this game, to get the licensing deal to make this game, and they don't think that this game is not drumming up any commercial support. Okay, so they know that they need to make some money to cover their losses. Okay, so they're basically doing these little marketing deals and licensing deals in order to get paid. Okay, they're trying to get some extra money. Okay, this is about money. Okay, because here's the thing: no one in their right mind wanted this game. No one was begging for this game. And when they said it's a live service, it's like, ah, shit. We already know that we done fucked up.
I was about to say, live services, what I expect of a Fortnite, a battle royale game.
Yeah, but guess what? Fortnite also has endorsements in it.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is that Square Enix pretty much can. I mean, like every big company has internal tracking for whether or not a product is going to do well or not. I think this game is going to bomb spectacularly. I think this game is going to crash and burn harder. This game is going to flop. It's going to flop harder than a fat kid belly dropping into a Olympic swimming pool. Full Olympic swimming pool, but still.
So what are the requirements? Like, what do you need for the Hulk?
Okay, in order to. Okay, so let's go over all of them. Okay, so basically, the first thing is that Spider-Man is an exclusive character to the PlayStation version of the game.
Yeah.
But also, if you get PlayStation Plus, you'll get access to quote-unquote legendary outfits, emotes, takedowns, and nameplates for every hero in game, from the 6 launch heroes to any added after release. So, and they also get special bundles just for being PS Plus players for each of the characters. But it gets worse. If you are a Verizon Virgin Media customer, you get access to like everyone gets like a red themed motif for their characters.
If you're a Verizon
Virgin Mobile. Yeah, you get
carrier.
Yeah, like so if your phone service or internet service or whatever is Verizon, I think you'll be able to like put in your code, like your login things, kind of like how like if you have Borderlands 3 and you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, which also includes Twitch Prime, you can basically unlock extra codes if you connect to the two things, like extra gold keys and shit, like that. But here's the thing. That's just a Benny that you get for having a service. This is shit that's locked behind stuff people may or may not have. But the most egregious one, because there's a lot of people who...
Two kinds of dicking.
Well, not really. But a lot of people have a lot... Okay, there's a lot of people who have a Verizon in their house. A Verizon phone, a Verizon high-speed internet, something. Or, you know, whatever. But the one where it's like, if you have Avengers themed, apparently Intel is making Avengers themes KB Lake CPUs.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And if you have those, you can get Avengers themed, Avengers themed skins. You can get different skins for your characters in the game.
All right, that's dumb.
That's fucking bullshit right there.
Reason why I said that this is Battlefield 2 kinds of BS. because you have to be with a certain provider in order to get certain loot. And even though I know there's such a thing as pre-orders, version exclusives, and timed exclusives, etc., etc., some of those are plain out BS.
I mean, look, listen. They're doing what they have to do, what they think they have to do in order to.
Recover their money after spending so much on a graphics idea that likely burned a hole in their pocket like the last time they did that with a movie.
Yeah, after fucking up. Okay, like basically, this is basically them fucking up. Okay, I totally get it. Okay, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand if you get what I'm saying. Okay. However, I mean, like at this point, look, listen. When you see a company doing all this shit, all these, we got to do this and we got to do this, we got to do this. This is them. They ran out of money on this game. They ran out of fucking money because this game has been in development for like 6 years. This game was supposed to come out on the was supposed to come out like 2-3 years ago.
Oh wow. Here, one of my biggest problems with the game is the art style is trash.
Well, I mean,
it's like you figure they would at least go with like a more of a comic book art style.
Yeah, well, I mean,
garbage.
They couldn't. Okay, they tried to get the likenesses of all the characters from the movies, right? They weren't going to get those characters. Okay, it was going to be too expensive because the game is already like over budget. They should have gone with, okay, we can't use the characters from the movies. Let's use the comic book versions of these characters. That would have been the smart move. But this is Square Enix, and smart move and Square Enix don't go together. They're mutually exclusive.
Like water and oil?
Well, I mean, if you take water and oil and add an emulsion to it, like something that can cause an emulsion, it'll work. Well, if you shake it enough, it'll do something. I mean, it's not going to be a stable emulsion, but it'll do something. This isn't even that. This is like military intelligence. They don't go together. Okay. They're mutually exclusive from one another. So, so basically, yeah, they're doing what they have to do in order to not lose more money. Because let's keep it real, Final Fantasy 15 didn't make the type of money they wanted to make. Square Enix has not been releasing games that have been set in the world of fire. Kingdom Hearts 3 did not sell the types of numbers they needed it to sell. Final Fantasy 7, I think maybe, I don't know how many sales the remake. Let me look at the sales of the remake. Final Fantasy 7.
This could take a bit, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, it's sold over 5 million. But let's look how much the original sold.
It probably sold at least 3 times that much.
Well, I don't want to original Final Fantasy 7 sales. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to use a guess. I want to be precise accurate. Because.
Yeah, I was just guessing before you found the answer. That's why.
Holy shit! Final Fantasy 7 has sold 13,258,000 copies. And that is the highest selling Final Fantasy of all time. So basically, if each iteration of Final Fantasy VII Remake essentially sells around 5 million, the overall remake will have sold more than the original. So that's why they broke. Everyone's like they broke it up because the gaming world is so huge. They broke it up so they could basically make more money. Don't listen to that bullshit. Oh no, they were. Look, listen. No company breaks up a product into bits and pieces to sell it to you
Without some reason.
because of altruism or to give you more value. They broke it up so that they could sell you what used to be a $60. Well, what I think $50. I think Final Fantasy VII was $50 at the time. What used to be a $50 game so that they can break it up into 3 parts and give you each part for $60. And you dumb motherfuckers bought it. So a dude just bent you over and fucked you up the ass for no business.
It's a blonde.
They bent you over and fucked you up the ass with no lube, and you were smiling the entire time. Yeah, I like getting sodomized. It's great. You dumb motherfuckers. Anyway,
Thank you, because if anything, I've been saying it, and I can hear those people crying, and I got the follow for those tears.
I'm telling you something. If you like someone basically treating you like you're a dumbass, okay, yeah. Well, Square Enix just made you into a dumbass. So next we have, I think we've pounced on the Marvel's Avengers exclusive tie-in bullshit enough. Let's keep it moving. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 has been delayed into 2021.
And I can hear the people
I think this is going
crying
to be a
for it.
common story.
And the reason they say is for quality concerns, but I don't think that's the real reason. I don't. You want to know what I think the real reason is?
Go ahead. I'm
Money.
actually curious.
Money. What other big game is coming out this holiday season? Huge game. Huge game. A lot of people are looking forward to this game. Correct. Cyberpunk is basically, both of these games are in the same genre. They're both RPGs, player-driven, character-driven, deep lore, based on a tabletop game. One is set in like a present-day setting, so that's Vampire the Masquerade. The other one's set in the near future. That's Cyberpunk. Both of which, one is being made by a studio that people are going to get Cyberpunk 2077 who know nothing about Cyberpunk just because CD Projekt Red is making that game. And if you put these two games head to head, Cyberpunk is going to win because it's made by a studio that people have faith in because they've delivered a good product before. So yeah, they're moving this shit back because they don't want to be in the same release window. And to be honest with you,
I was about to say I'm surprised that they're trying to not even be in the next month behind them.
Well, I mean that's why they moved it to the next year. I mean, to be honest with you, I pre-ordered this game too, and if I had a choice between playing this game and Cyberpunk 27, if they came out around the same time, I'm probably going to play Cyberpunk first.
Ooh.
I mean, it's not.
I can hear the pain from some people that heard that.
And here's the thing: I like the original Vampire the Masquerade. I've played it numerous times, but if I had a choice between, like, because I played the Vampire the Masquerade so many times, Bloodlines, the first one, so many times, like I don't want to just dive into this one. You know what I mean? Like I want to have time to really like read the lore and, you know, see playthroughs of the game and shit like that. I want there to be time for like FAQs to be made and shit. Cyberpunk, I want to get lost in. So, yeah, I mean, clearly this is what this is about. They're like, oh, this is a quality thing. No, it's not quality. You guys just don't want to go toe-to-toe against Cyberpunk. Plus, we have a global pandemic going on. People's money is short.
Yeah.
You know, people don't want to deal with that shit. That's what this is, okay? They moved it further back, which is a smart move. Because now they have time to polish it up even more, maybe add some extra content if they can. Etc., etc. So,
If anything, I feel sorry for them, but also, oof.
I mean, like I said, I feel sorry for the people because all that work just pretty much got flushed down the drain. I mean, it did get flushed down the drain. It's just not going to come out as soon as they want to. But on the other hand, financially, they're not going to like. They're probably going to have more of a chance for this game to shine when it comes out because it's not going to be overshadowed by Cyberpunk 2077. So,
Yeah, though, if anything, you do remember that some companies hate to play delay.
well, like I said, I would rather have it be delayed. Um,
Yeah, I get you. But
you
as I
know,
said, the reason why I think that some people hate the delay is because, well, if it's nearly done already, then the lo- then the longer it takes for them to get it out the door,
I mean,
the more green it's going to burn through their pocket.
here, let me put it this way, okay? The first Cyberpunk game, um, I mean, like, here's the thing, okay? There's so many games that are coming. I mean, like, taking Nintendo out the thing because they haven't said shit about what they're releasing later on this year. Just throw them to the side. But there's so much big shit coming out across multiple platforms, except for Nintendo, that's going to take up people's time. That like, and here's the thing: this is like a big, huge AAA, uh, you know, multi-hour RPG. People aren't going to have time for that. You're going to have to pick one and stick with it for a while. And so, really, between Cyberpunk, like I said, and them, it just wasn't worth taking that risk. So they moved it back, which was a smart move.
Hmm.
Because think about it, you've got this game, you've got Cyberpunk, Baldur's Gate 3, plus whatever the fuck else is coming out later on this year. I mean, people just don't have time for that shit, man. It's too many games.
And that's the reason why I actually have a good laugh, because people say that there's a game drought, and yet I hear so many games coming out. I look at them and say, really?
It depends. It depends on what you play on. If all you have are Nintendo systems, you might be in a little bit of a drought. If you own multiple, if you have PC and something else, there's no excuse for you saying I got nothing to play. God damn it, shit. What do you have? What is there? Nothing coming out that's interesting you. If all you have is a Switch, you could say that things are a little dry. Okay, but I mean, even then, there's still indie games. There's like little small, eShop shit. So even then, you still got something to play. There's no excuse for someone saying they got nothing to play. Next, apparently there was speaking of Nintendo, there's a glitch on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Stage Select screen, which apparently some people it's crashing their damn game. Um,
And and it's funny because while we were talking about a few other topics, I was actually playing on Smash Bros. And I didn't I didn't run into the glitch, which is kind of weird because I feel like if this is supposed to hit everyone's copy, then I'm surprised that it didn't hit me.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of like police brutality. Look, I've never had the police beat my ass. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen to other people.
That's what I was about to say. I know it has happened. It's just that I'm surprised it didn't happen at
So,
my end yet.
my only thing is, hey man, Nintendo, stop fucking up.
And if anything, this is before anybody else says it, that we still got no news on something else.
What?
If you if you've been um if you've been getting the notice that we only got one news of one Smash Fighter, and I could hear that people are gonna say, where's the news of the others?" There's
Look,
5 more.
let me put it this way: they stealth released Paper Mario Origami King. They had fanfare for Animal Crossing, for the new Animal Crossing game earlier this year. They didn't say shit. Like literally, it's like they let that shit out like a silent but deadly on an elevator, with Origami
Very
King.
cute.
So at this point, like. Since I sold my copy of Smash Brothers. Well, no, I didn't sell it. I gave it away to a friend of mine. So at this point, I've pretty much written off Smash Brothers. So I don't really give a shit about the new characters. It's like, this new character. I don't care. I don't have the game anymore. I don't give a shit. It's like when someone is excited about a new car coming to Forza. I don't own Forza, so I don't give a shit. But I know some people do care. So, if you have a character that's announced that you give a shit about, good for you. Me, I don't give a shit about this game. Speaking of...
Mr. Sour.
I'm not sour. I just don't like... I haven't liked the last 2 iterations of Smash Brothers that much. And, if you don't like something, don't play it. Don't buy it. Let it go. Next, speaking of people not giving a shit... EA shareholders said no to a massive proposed raise for their executives. They basically said, I don't think so, motherfucker.
Did I just hear that right?
That's right.
Shareholders finally kicking EA in the orbs.
Yeah, they said basically a group of activist investors said that basically Andrew Wilson and Blake Jorgensen and CTO Kenneth Moss, they wanted their incomes to go respectively from 18.3 million to 21.37 million for Andrew Wilson. They wanted it to go from 9.41 million to 19.5 million for Blake Jorgensen. Laura Meal wanted to go, she's the chief studios officer, wanted to go from 6.95 million to 16.1 million. And CTO Kenneth Moss, that's the chief technology officer, from 6.95 million to 14.2 million. And basically they said, fuck no, you're gonna keep your vote, you're gonna keep your money exactly where it is. Now Activision tried to do the same thing against Bobby Kotick at Activision, who basically made $30 million in compensation last year. It did not pass, however. But at Ubisoft, sorry, not Ubisoft, at EA, it did pass. So basically, yeah, they said you are not getting extra money for this shit. Fuck you.
There's hope yet.
Well, I mean, look, when you talk with your wallet, it's a good thing. Yeah, and these are the people who are, like, the people who own, like, if you're a shareholder, that means you're basically, these people work for you. Because ultimately, the shareholders own the company. And they're saying, you aren't getting more money, bitch. And I don't blame them. That's why my company does not have shares and I own everything. Because ain't nobody going to tell me what I make. Fuck you. Which is weird because I actually get a salary. The way my company's divvied up, I get a salary. I don't get like everything. It's limited liability, so but still.
See?
I have an LLC because I'm not gonna let somebody do some shit like that to me. Vote me out of my own company? Fuck you! I built this shit. Not alone. I had help, but still.
Oh yeah, that is funny when you see owners of companies get fired from their own company.
Yeah.
What the frick does that happen? It's like, you motherfucker! I built this.
I built this shit. Even though, like, here's the thing. I find it hilarious when people who build a company, they're like, I built this. Actually, you didn't. No one does anything in a vacuum. Okay? You had help. There were people who helped you out. Now, you may have been the person who had the vision to get shit started, But if the people underneath you weren't there to put your enact your plan and help your vision along, the shit wouldn't exist. So don't get all high and mighty, bitch. Next, Shigeru Miyamoto distracted the original Star Fox developers. You know, Dylan Cuthbert and Giles Goddard. You know, the Star Fox game that started it all. Basically, he would go over to their offices and smoke like a damn chimney while they were working on Star Fox.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, apparently he stopped smoking when he hit 40. He's like, I gotta stop doing this shit. and started eating healthy and shit.
Which is a good thing, though. Makes me wonder, what was he on during that time?
Smoking cigarettes. Shit. Cigarettes, you know. I guess it's a high-pressure job over there at Nintendo. I guess there's a lot of pressure. I don't know. But it's just kind of interesting. They were like, we talked with him, and he would talk about trees and shit. I think Shigeru Miyamoto may be on the spectrum. I think he may be on the spectrum. Yeah.
He might need to see Smokers Anonymous.
No, he quit. He quit when he was 40.
Okay.
So yeah,
back then he probably needed to see somebody about it.
No, they were like, yeah, we talked to him and we realized he's just really kind of weird and he sees things in a different way than other people. And part of that has given us, and obviously, I mean, if you've played any of his fucking games, yeah, he's weird. Look, he has a game where an Italian plumber runs around curb stomping turtles and shit. Do you think a normal person could come up with some shit like that?
They are not on air. That's a promise.
He was smoking. He was smoking cigarettes. Probably smoking something else too. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay, people. Pikmin. He's like, yeah, I was working in my garden and I pulled up an onion. I was like, what if I made a game where you picked a strategy game where you picked up your army from out the ground? Like, what the fuck? Normal people who think normally and rationally don't come up with shit like that. But look, listen, there's a reason he's one of the creative brain trusts at Nintendo.
Even if he is abnormal.
But, you know, I mean, look, listen, you got to keep your creative talent around, even if they aren't, like, on top of shit all the time. Like I said, he's made so much great shit, we can ignore the fucked up shit like Wii Music. we can let that slide.
I guess we could say that if anything, he was probably on the straw when he made Wii Music.
I don't know about that, but anyway, listen, okay? It's like this, okay? If you are a straight A student and you get a C, most classes will drop your lowest grade, so it doesn't fuck up your GPA. So if you're straight A's and you get a C or a D, they'll let that slide. Shigeru Miyamoto got his C or D with Wii Music. We're gonna let that one slide. We'll let it go. We'll let it. we'll axe that out. Doesn't count. Okay, that's your one pass, son. Don't do another fuck up like that, and we'll let it go. That's your Wii Music is his pass. There you go. Okay, that's it. Okay, so I guess we should get to this final argument, which is the price of gaming. Third-party publishers are saying this. The price of gaming, the prices must rise. And that, you know, we have to raise the price of our games $70 because, you know, making games is expensive.
And if anything, the three of us is probably going to say this all at once, but I'll say it first.
Go ahead.
I call absolute and utter internal buffalo dung.
It's time to cut back on your budgets. I think it's time to, you know, bring back the middle market again. That also goes for movies as well.
Yeah. I would say games have been overpriced for years. Games have been more expensive than they should be for years. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Well, what do you mean? Think about it, okay? Think about all the games in the 7th gen that had DLC and transaction stores in the 7th and 8th gen, okay? Even first-party games that had expansions and DLC, All right.
And I will admit that everybody's everybody's guilty in this, but if anything's, your mileage may vary on how much of a quality product that is.
Shit, Microsoft did it with. Remember, Halo 4 had microtransactions and Halo 5.
As I
Um,
said, your mileage may vary.
they had microtransactions on Forza. PlayStation had microtransactions on some of their games. Nintendo. I mean, look, listen. Even on the Wii U, Nintendo fucking had expansions for Mario Kart, and I think they were $30 a piece, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they were $30 a piece. So basically, if you bought both the expansions for Mario Kart, you bought the game 2 times. Okay, you bought that fucking game twice. So I mean, so the lie that games are $60 is bullshit. Games have not been $60 for years. The difference, at least a lot of the quote unquote AAA games, they're not $60.
Yeah, but I was about to say the initial price is probably what people are aiming at with that.
Well, it's disingenuous for publishers and developers to tell you that this is $60 and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it after later on down the line. It's a shady business practice. Like, I would rather them just come out in the open and say this game is $90. I'd rather them just be honest and just say it's $90 than fucking lie to me and then nickel and dime me after the fact with microtransactions and digital currency stores and all that shit. Just sell me the shit, the way it was meant to be, just as one thing, Like, imagine if other businesses did that. If you bought an album digitally, right? And the album is supposed to have 20 songs, and like, well, we can add, an extra 6 songs, but that'll be $6. Wouldn't that be kind of like fucked up?
If they did it later, I could measure it and think about it. But day one, you might not get any more money.
A lot of them are doing that. A lot of them are adding shit that should have been there day one. Oh, well, don't be asking me questions. So, and I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's cool. I wish that gamers would stop letting the shit. Well, I like this game. It's not about you liking something. It's about something being fair. Fair to consumers. Yeah. And this is not fair to consumers. I don't care who does it. It's not fair. Either raise the prices for everything or get your budgets under fucking control. And stop double downing on graphics. Oh, well, the graphics need to be good. The graphics need to be good. We're past, look, the age of the bits doubling or tripling and shit looking better is over. Okay? Because functionally...
Why do people are still into graphics again?
Functionally, is there a big game that has come out over the last, let's say, over this... Is there a game that has come out this gen that could not have come out last gen? A single one. A game that you may have enjoyed this gen that could not have come out on last gen hardware.
The only thing that I could say would be fighting games that might be able to try to reach for that, but I don't think that's gonna be happening.
I disagree. Those games could have been
only fighting games would be able to try to reach for that.
Those fighting games could have been on last gen hardware. Smash Brothers Ultimate functionally looks and plays almost exactly like Smash Brothers 4 Wii U. Now, I know it's using a different engine, but functionally, it's basically the same goddamn game. Aside from a few differences and some new characters.
Yeah.
So, And that's
Which is
just
the reason why
Nintendo.
I said fighting games are the only ones I could think of that could actually try to reach for that type, that line.
And that's just Nintendo. I'm not talking about Sony. Like, is there like Horizon Zero Dawn could have been on the PS3? Would it have looked as pretty? No, but it could have been on the PS3. Um, Halo 5 could have been on the Xbox 360. Would it have looked as pretty? No, but it could have been there. So
Yeah.
the argument, so them doubling down on better graphics and getting people who make animation mocap suits and people look gorgeous. Why can't we just make good gameplay? Because the gameplay in these games, like everyone's like, man, I felt like I was playing a movie. Why the fuck would you want to play a movie?
Play a movie. Why would you want to play a movie when movies are supposed to be one-time experiences?
Yeah, and once you've played it, that's it. Like once you play Uncharted 4, you like that's it because it's like you're playing a fucking movie. Once you've played the Last of Us 2, you pretty much know what's going on in that game. Like the story isn't going to change if you play it again. If you get what I'm saying.
Unless they pull off some big some big update to Choose Your Destiny, I don't think you're getting anything.
So I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know where you can go from here. I don't know what else is there to say at this point. Except it all sucks and we're screwed now. Kenoshi, your thoughts on the price of gaming?
Well, with being on PC, like I'm just gonna stick to the same rule, not buy games on day one, and just wait for a sale, because these game prices are gonna drop pretty quickly. They're probably gonna drop a lot faster when people aren't willing to pick up the game at full price day one. We'll see if games drop within 3 months rather than 6 months, possibly. Hello?
Yeah, I heard you. I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree.
Hey,
I think that how can I put this? Because I feel the same way. I think with me having access to a PC, I really like I don't need a next gen because everything's gonna come to PC anyway, and I'll probably get it cheaper. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why the fuck should I unless it's a really good exclusive, which I have not seen a really good exclusive yet. That is gonna make me go out and buy the next gen hardware. So I don't know. Anyone have anything else they want to add before we get to the final topic, which is unpopular opinions?
I think it'll be all right.
Okay then. All right. So I guess it's my time. So who wants to go with their unpopular opinion first? I have one that's gonna piss some people off, but I don't care.
Why am I not surprised?
All right. So I guess I'll go first. So here's my unpopular opinion: the Legend of Zelda franchise, especially the story, needs to be rebooted because it's a convoluted fucking mess. Um, I mean, like, basically there's like 3 different timelines, and like the story feels like bits and pieces have just been sewn together to kind of make the shit make sense to some people. And you can tell that like they kind of came up with this story after the fact, which, I mean, you know what I mean? You know, like, basically, because all of the except for Link's Awakening, all of the other Link's Awakening is connected to the Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons games, but all the other Legend of Zelda games are kind of like how Final Fantasy used to be. You know, where each Final Fantasy had certain tropes that they shared, certain items that were shared across, you know, all the games, but everyone told its own story. You know what I mean?
Like, so if anything, that came with its own interesting results.
Not well, I mean, because some of the games are good, some of the games are bad, but they all kind of have a very similar tropes and shit in them. And that's kind of like how Legend of Zelda used to be before. These people were like, well, we want a one story that kind of connects everything. And the problem with that is that the story that connects everything is fucking trash. it's the story that tries to connect everything in Legend of Zelda is trash. It's fucking trash. And because the story that connects everything is trash, they should just reboot the whole damn thing. Just take the table, flip it over, start from scratch, do something different. That's my opinion. The Legend of Zelda needs to be completely rebooted. The story needs to be completely rebooted from the ground up, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I know some people will get mad at me, disagree.
To be honest with you, I actually had to raise my brow a little hearing that. Says that's a weird call.
What, that the whole story just needs to be rebooted?
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, listen, it's a convoluted mess. There's like 3 different timelines. There's one timeline where Link loses. There's one timeline where Link wins. There's another timeline that was created when Princess Zelda. It's like, look, listen, stop all this convoluted ass bullshit and just reboot the whole goddamn thing. Start from scratch. I mean, okay. I'll give you some more bullshit. Okay, which creation are you keeping as part of the main story for The Legend of Zelda? Because initially, the creation of the Legend of Zelda universe is down to Din, Nehru, and Faerûr. Then later on, they added some shit with a new goddess named Hylia and Zom. It's like, what the fuck is with all this shit? You know what I mean? Why are you like Frankensteining all these different plots together to try and make a cohesive story? It's not worth it. Just reboot the whole goddamn thing. Start from scratch. Do you have an unpopular opinion? Does anyone disagree? Agree? So we can move on to the next topic or do sign-offs?
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I think I can understand it at least.
All right, Kenoshi?
Nah, I agree.
My God, people actually agreed with my unpopular opinion. Okay, all right. Anyone have any other unpopular opinions they want to get off their chest before we wrap things up?
Sony, Microsoft, I'm gonna have a word with you in a bit. That is if Kenoshi doesn't have anything.
Go ahead.
Okay. You two are releasing, of all things, a new console during a pandemic. And I can hear that people are saying that this is a good thing because it gets our minds off of a problem. But here's the thing. Even though it may be good to have something brand beeping new and have something all shiny and all that, it makes me wonder, where are your priorities? Releasing something during a
during a problem like this, is going to have people saying that we're going to have food, we're going to have supplies, we're going to have TP over VG. I consider doing releasing it like that a stupid idea.
I agree.
So if any, so if you guys want to hate me on that, I got 2 digits for you.
2 middle fingers.
Exactly.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree with your assertion. I do. I also think that them releasing these new consoles right now in the middle of a pandemic um, is not good.
It's tasteless.
Especially when you still have people who don't want to wear masks. Um, Even though masks have been proven to be helpful
In crowded areas.
in protecting people and reducing transmission of COVID-19. I think people, and plus not only that, but a lot of people, they've had their hours reduced or they're out of their jobs. So, I mean, if you have to make a choice between paying your rent, paying a credit card bill, or, a light bill or an electric bill versus buying a $600, $700 console, I mean, I don't see the point. But, that's just me. That's
Yeah. Reason why I said people are gonna pick TP over VG.
Yeah, but whatever. Here's the
Well,
thing. I try to think the best of people, but there's dumbasses everywhere.
I'm not gonna deny that's happened.
I mean, it is what it is, but unfortunately, stupid people are everywhere. Yeah. So one thing you can't escape. Dumbass people are all over the world, but there seems to be a prevalence here in America. And the worst thing is that, look, the only thing worse than a dumbass person is a dumbass person who doesn't realize that they're a dumbass. That's even scarier than just a typical dumbass person. Because when they don't know they're stupid, that's terrifying.
I could say who one is, but if anything, that'll make things political around here.
Oh, there's a lot of dumbass people who don't know they're dumbasses. Uh, in other words, people who cannot learn from their mistakes. So with that being said, Kenoshi, do you have an unpopular opinion you'd like to share? Almost sound like a teacher with the class. Like to share with the class. Go ahead.
Nah, not this. Well, I don't know if this is an unpopular one, but I think the problem with next gen, or the problem with generations coming up, I think this is the real next gen in the sense that that this generation was a stopgap because they kind of didn't want to spend the extra money to go all out with the hardware.
I agree.
What makes you think that they're gonna be improving the hardware and using it wisely?
I think
I don't know.
I think they are improving the hardware, but I think once again you're going to see games coming out on these new consoles that could have been done on the shit that came out before. Like I don't think anyone, even Nintendo, who I love them, I think they're very innovative.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna admit that Nintendo could have done it with the Wii U with some of their games.
no, I'm talking about on the Switch. There is nothing on the Switch, in my opinion, that looks like, oh man, this couldn't have been done on the Wii U.
That's what I was saying. That
Not a
there's
damn
some
thing.
things that could have been done on the Wii U as well as the Switch.
So and as a matter of fact, there are some games that are on the Switch that literally are inferior to their Wii U counterparts.
Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 2 was inferior to the first Splatoon. Yes, it has more content. but in terms of how it plays, how it feels while you're playing, it just does not have that same level of fidelity. And I know some people are going to get angry when they hear that, but I don't give a shit because my podcast, I can say whatever I want. So yeah, and not just that. I think that like The Last of Us, The Last of Us 2, like all these games could have been on last gen hardware. It's just, and these marginal fucking upgrades, technologically speaking, it's boring. It's blasé. It's like I don't even feel excited about this new hardware coming out. Like I'm more excited about new CPUs and GPUs than I am about new hardware coming out in terms of new consoles.
Are you sure you're not looking forward to the CES?
No, I don't give a shit.
I thought that you were into the CES for gaming at this point.
I mean, the Consumer Electronics Show doesn't really do Consumer Electronics Show isn't really about gaming. It used to be back in the day before E3. That like before E3 and Space World and all that shit. If you wanted to know about video game consoles, they had like a little offshoot at CES for shit like that. Thing is that over time it became segregated and separated off. At this point, I'm more excited about new graphics cards and CPUs and new motherboards than I am about anything coming out of new hardware. Like Nintendo tomorrow could say, we're coming out with new hardware in 2 years, and I wouldn't give a shit because, I mean, I hate to say this, but nothing that has come to the Switch has made me say, wow, this is really next gen. This couldn't have been done on last gen. Whereas for years, games that came to Nintendo's hardware, I felt like, wow, this couldn't have been done last gen. Even with Sony, like literally, the games that came out on the PS2, that couldn't have been done on the PS1. And games that came to the PS3, that couldn't have been done on the PS2. And yet, once the 8th gen really hit, like, there are games that are on the PS4 and the Xbox One where I'm like, this shit could have been on last gen hardware. I'm not impressed. I am not impressed with these 8th gen offerings. And if the 9th gen for these companies are like Nintendo's 9th gen, I'm not going to be impressed with their 9th gen games either. So I know people are going to get angry. How could you say that? Aren't you a Nintendo fan? It's precisely that I'm a Nintendo fan that I'm not impressed because I've seen them be better. And people are going to say, well, you can't criticize them. Look, even things that I love can be criticized because everything, even if you perceive something as being as close to perfect, it can still be better. Everything is open to critique because it can always be better. Even things that you like can be better. So that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Anyone have any other unpopular opinion they want to offload before we wrap things up and pimp out our channels and content and shit like that? Nothing? Okay then.
If anything, that means that we've at least made it to another round of BS Busters, and we thank you for watching.
Yes, and if you want to get in touch with the channel, you can reach us or me at MrRedFoxBSBuster@gmail.com or at Matthew Wesley at MrRedFox91 or at a Discord. The Discord link is in the chat section, is in the description section. So with that being said, that's the end of this podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace, good night, and
don't forget to hype responsibly. Oh, and don't forget to wash your beeping hands.
Yep, wear a mask, wash your hands. I mean, I'm wearing gloves, so I'm like, if I could wear a full body condom, I'd probably do it.